Now on to my E60 M5 surprises. Number 1. No surprise, the fuel economy. It's really that bad. I don't care about the cost given the performance, but I just feel awful about the CO2s. We're talking about single digits here, folks. You can see here that I've put 16.3 miles on the car since I filled up, and an eighth of a tank has been burned. Incidentally, I've found that I ride my bike and walk more now. And I actually drive the M3. When the weather's nice, I'm in the M3 because it gets as good gas mileage as my wife's minivan and a heck of a lot more smiles. It's still fun to drive this car, and I still love to drive it. But I realize that if I drive this car over the M3, I'm going to be burning at least 50% more fuel. And I have a harder time getting at the performance than the M3. The M3, the performance is always there. It's always on tap. Okay, E60 M5 surprises number 2. You have to know it to get the performance out. But once you do, it's the happiest you'll ever feel. You'll be giggling like a little girl. You know, there aren't that many times when I'm able to, where I have any sort of rationale to get the performance out of the car. You've probably seen some of my videos where I'm driving up a mountain, and it's a road that I'm pretty familiar with, and nobody else is on it. So that's the only place that I know where I can take it and really drive it. Driving uphill at about a 30% incline. Because it's just so monstrously powerful. You just can't get into it unless you're going a crazy high speed. And I suppose if you're on the Autobahn or the Nürburgring and you want to go as fast as you can, yeah, this is the car you want to be in. But if you're trying to, you know, sneak in a few aggressive acceleration runs or something like that, it's difficult to get the power out. But man, once you do, it's like the car changes personalities, and it does things that you just don't think it should be able to do. Number 3, surprises. When you need a solid, comfortable sedan, it'll do the job. While enduring the drudgery of driving sensibly, you'll find simple joy in the little things that make this car special without anyone else noticing. Knowing that just by pressing the M button, this Dr. Jekyll will turn into a Mr. Hyde whenever you want it to. So day-to-day living, driving my kids around, driving my wife around, yes, it does the job. As much as some people will argue that that M button is a gimmick, I beg to differ. It's basically just your way of signaling to the engine that you're in a position to play and have a good time, and please, more power. When you don't need the power, might as well save just a little bit of gas, even if it's 10 miles per gallon instead of 8. Hey, you know, it saves you something. Feel a little bit less guilty about driving it that way. Number 4, when you're in a hurry, there simply isn't a better car to be in. With this beast, you can get your family and their stuff anywhere immediately, and you'll be grinning ear to ear the whole time, even if they're unnecessarily terrified. Okay, so about a month after I got the car, well, a couple months, 2 or 3 months after I got the car, I was just getting comfortable with it. My family was booked at an event. We had about 15 minutes to get to the event, and it was about 23 or so minutes away. Now, my wife does not like me driving fast. My daughters love it, of course. So I had to find a subtle way to really get us there without causing any concern for my wife, and of course getting pulled over by law enforcement and all that kind of stuff. And this car was fantastic for that. I just sort of quietly went about hauling unbelievable ass, but I was able to do it far more quickly than I could in pretty much any other car. I mean, this is, when it came out, it was the fastest 4-door on the planet, and by most measures it still is, especially with a naturally aspirated motor. So that was fun, and my wife couldn't help but not be too annoyed with me when I was able to get us there early. Number 5 in my surprises. Nobody knows what it is except for car nuts like me and douchebags. And the douchebags approach me and make me nervous while my kids are in the car. I'm just so glad it's not something obvious like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Then it would surely be a terrible problem. But because it's another black BMW, it's usually not an issue. Okay, so when I wrote this, I guess I had been approached a lot of times by kind of sketchy looking guys. I have no doubt though, that I had a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and of course I would probably be terrified to drive it because they're so expensive. I would say since I wrote this, I really haven't had that many run-ins. It's been a very positive experience. Most people don't know what it is, just like they don't know what the M3 is. Most people just think it's sort of like an older 5 Series BMW sedan, and they're very common. But they probably don't realize that if you take, say, the base 528 engine, or the 528 model, with its 220 horsepower straight 6, and then put it next to this 5-liter V10 with more than twice as much power, 507 horses, and we're talking about night and day. And of course, the car has the suspension that's upgraded. The brakes on it are like pizzas. These cross-drilled, pizza-sized brakes. And then you got tires that are like 1.5 feet wide. They're the 285 profile tires. There are all these subtle things about the car that most people would never notice.